State Representative Phil Hart is our guest. A big news blitz coming up on all these militia arrests as the federal government prepares to stage terror attacks and blame it on the Tea Parties. Now, I told you in the last 3 months they're going to stage arrests against militias. They've been setting up for years, provocateuring them or flat out framing them. They follow a handbook to create the idea that there are all these terrorists out there that are domestic. Then they stage the big events. They did this right before the Alfred P. Murrah building got bombed April 19th, 1995. And I'm seeing all the key conditioning, everything. You notice I've been predicting it? Now it's ramping up exactly as I said it would, because I know their handbook. See, in intelligence, you don't even have to have all the intelligence documents. If you watch enemy troop movements and propaganda and activities, you learn their patterns of attack, and that's basic intelligence gathering. You have to get inside their minds. That's the key to understanding what they're going to do. That's coming up. Going back to Phil Hart. Phil, I want to get you back on sometime about your book. I haven't read it yet. We just got it, but it looks really interesting. Constitutional income, do you have any? And we'll be talking about that briefly here. But you're right. The states are standing up. They're saying no. You're in Idaho. What are your constituents saying about the Real ID, the open borders, the naked body scanners, all of it?
Well, with regard to Real ID, we were one of the 8 states that put that language in our Idaho code that says we will not comply with Real ID. But the trouble with Real ID is it's going to morph into something else. I mean, there's a half a dozen other driver's license programs out there that got RFID chips in them and things like that. So I was running a bill this year. It was our House Bill 541, which would prohibit an RFID chip being used in the Idaho driver's license, would prohibit facial recognition techniques to be used, and would also prohibit us from issuing driver's licenses to illegal aliens. And you know, Alex, there's 4 states that have a public policy where they actually do just that.
Well, expanding on that, they're now saying every police department needs license plate reading cameras. It might stop some crime. Well, the schools are issuing laptops that watch the pupils at home. It might save somebody. Well, yeah, I mean, if we were all locked up in jail cells, maybe everybody will be safe. But everyone knows the most dangerous place in the world is a prison. I mean, clearly, this is all unconstitutional for a reason, because our forebears went through a lesser tyranny than we're starting to go into, and it's time to put the brakes on this and start reversing it.
It was the philosophy of the Founding Fathers that they did not want to solve every crime. And a society that does solve every crime is really a totalitarian society. So we've got the Bill of Rights, which are to protect the rights of innocent people from being, terrorized, if you will, by the government, with the idea that, we're going to let a few crimes slip through the system, and we're not going to solve every crime because we would rather have the rights of the people protected. And then, working in that framework, we'll do the best we can to solve the crimes that we can solve.
We've got your website up on screen at prisonplanet.tv, but for radio listeners, Representative Phil Hart from Idaho, give folks your website. It's
www.constitutionalincome.com, and that's my book website. For my legislative website, it's www.hart4legislature.com.
Hart4legislature.com. And if people go there, they can get the whole body scanner legislation. And people can read about Obamacare, income tax surcharge, unconstitutional. A lot of great info up on your sites. And people, get this legislation that Phil's written. It's written for the state. And send it, hand deliver it to all your state house members. If you got 20 state house members or 100 or 150, House, Senate, whatever it is in your state, print up that many, go to your capital, take off 6 hours, go down there with your husband or your wife or your church, and hand deliver it to every member. That's how things get done. They really pay attention to that, don't they, Phil?
They do, and I copied the legislation that Congressman Chavez from Utah did. It made my job a little bit easier, and I communicated with his office somewhat, and people can call me if they want to, and really at the state level, anybody can testify on a bill, anybody can meet with their state legislator. In Idaho, we can run initiatives, we can have citizens champion an issue and do the legwork on it, and really, if the people get involved, they'll be surprised at how much they can get done working with their legislators.
Well, Phil, I want to get you back up in the next month to talk about your book after I've had a chance to read it. Really impressive. Joe R. Bannister, former IRS criminal investigator, says it's extremely powerful. Larry Beecraft, who I really respect, endorses your book. And so does Don Harkins, the Idaho Observer, another great guy. So we'll definitely get you back up for a full hour in the near future. I'm glad we've made this connection.
Well, thanks, Alex, for having me on. I appreciate it.
You bet. Great having you. All right, folks, I'm Alex Jones. 30 minutes left. News blitz and phone calls straight ahead. We'll go to Moscow, cover the bombings there. We'll look at the militia arrest across the United States and a suspicious murder.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.